Welcome to the very first episode of A Micronesian Life. I'm Eric Thomas. Our co-host and co-founder, Mr. Mike Pangolin, cannot be with us for today's segment. He'll join us in future segments. The nature of today's news often focuses on the negative things around us. We as Micronesians have not been immune to that. It's only too often you find that our stories that make it into the news cycles are the ones that revolve around tragedy, violence, or some other undesirable behavior going on in our Micronesian communities. The focus seems to be on those types of stories. And what can I say? Sensationalism sells. The question is that all we are about? Of course not. Like any other demographic, our stories span the spectrum. We have experiences in lives not so dissimilar from those around us. We have our feel-good stories and tragedies, just like everyone else. For this series, we're going to shine some light on those feel-good stories. We're going to be profiling Micronesians whose stories can serve as an inspiration for the rest of us. Welcome to Profiles in Perseverance and Success. In our inaugural episode, I got a chance to sit down with Mr. Rocky Holden, currently of Idaho, a Mokalese man who has beat the odds, put in the long hours, rolled the dice when he needed to, and found success. It's a great story. Strap in, you're going to love it. Today's guest, Rocky, is one of those stories. I mean, when I first started talking to him on Facebook Messenger, he laid out a story that I just found extraordinary. You know? And so, having said that, welcome, Rocky. Thank you so much for being a guest.
You bet.
So, when we were talking, it started out in Pohnpei. Why don't you walk us through, how it started? I mean, nobody knows your story better than you, and I think it's something everybody wants to hear. Let's hear it.
Well, I can start from my childhood, but as a child, you are underneath your parents' guidance, so everything they do,
Right.
You have to go along with.
Right.
So, coming to America was kind of different because I came first as grandchildren to my dad, which, we went to Grandpa and Grandma's house and went to Florida, lived in Florida with my grandparents. So I was young. I went through the education system, schooling, everything. Then I went back to Pohnpei, and I went back there and went to high school. And
so
I went till the 10th grade, I think.
So when you initially came, you were middle school, or were you still grade school?
I was in grade school, yes.
Yeah,
grade
so
school.
early.
Early, yeah. I came and stayed with my grandpa and grandma for about 2-3 years, and then went back home, and then raised from, I think it was, I know went to all the way up to 10th grade there.
Yeah.
I went to Colonia Elementary, graduated from Colonia Elementary. I was valedictorian or salutatorian, I forgot which one.
Rock on.
From the high school. Yeah. Kerry Varner was the valedictorian, I think.
Still good show.
Anyways,
good show.
In grade school, and I think the only reason they chose me is because I can speak English. To tell you the truth. Smart. And my dad was the English teacher there on Pohnpei at PIX. So, anyways, I'm just going to bypass my younger years. Younger years, you're underneath the guidance of your parents. There's really, you have to live what they live.
Right. Now, I remember...
Anyway, so as I went to high school...
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it. Roll with it.
Oh, yeah. So, anyways, after going back home, I found I wanted to come back to America. I felt, growing up till about 10th grade, I came over here to visit, and I did not want to go back to the island. I was like,
Screw
this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
Opportunities are here.
Right.
So I came over kind of like an exchange program and I stayed with his family. Believe it or not, I stayed in Fort Washington, this little logging town. If you look it up, it's a tiny little logging town on the West Coast. I stayed there. I remember what was the bicentennial? 76? Was that the bicentennial year?
Yeah, 76, yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was there, the bikers and the loggers got into a big fight. I can still remember this, and I climbed up on this tavern roof to watch this big fight in downtown Forks. If you look it up, you can find out there's a big brawl. I remember that.
Yeah.
To this day. And then I stayed there for a while, and I went back home, and I wanted to come back again. So this time I moved up to Fairbanks, Alaska, believe it or not.
Right.
And I still remember getting, and when I got off the plane, it was like minus 30 degrees. And back then, you didn't have you didn't have a walkway. You had to get off the airplane and actually walk like they do in Coldplay.
Yeah.
Walk to your destination.
Perfect place for an islander, right?
And I froze. Oh man, I was so cold. Frustrated, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time in Alaska, and I went to high school in Alaska. Graduated. I went to, I think it was the 11th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Graduated from Fairbanks, Alaska, and at that time I started playing a little bit of sports. But most of my stuff was I started bouncing when I was in high school. Still, I found this club that I went in, and I said, "You guys have a problem here? I can solve it." And I said, "Yeah." So they said, "Well, what's the problem?" I said, "Well, I went to the bathroom, and there's these Army guys kicking in your toilet. They're all drunk, and your bouncers are scared to handle it." I said, "I can handle it." So I did, and I got the job. In high school, I was bouncing.
I like how you said that though. So I did.
Yeah, well, I had to, and I still got scar on my hand from it to this day. I'll never forget. But so I started my business aspects. I started thinking, hey, if this guy's going to hire me, and he's going to tell me to go hire people, I said, I can do this.
Yeah.
So I started Fairbanks Security when I was 18. 17 or 18.
You started your first company at 18.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was going to high school. I was selling shoes, and I had a security company. What I did with that security company is I hired 5 or 6 of my high school buddies that wanted to make money, and
some of the
we went out and we went to all these. Yeah, we went to all these bars, and I said, "Look, I can help you out here. This is what I do," and that's how I started Fairbanks Security. And then I got on the pipeline. I went up north on the pipeline when I was 19.
The oil pipeline, right?
Yeah, I went up to. Oh yes, I went up and worked on the pipeline with the plumbers and pipe fitters. I spent 2 years up there working. I worked 3 months on, 1 month off, and the same time I did the security. I had my security guys running, and I was also teaching swimming at the. I mean, I did so much stuff. It's crazy. People are like, what?
Yeah, it's like I remember this from
the swimming stuff.
I remember this from our Facebook conversation, right? And you were saying stuff like, so I'm in high school and I get out of school, and then I'm working till 2 a.m. and then I'm back at school, and I was like, wow, this guy's doing it, and he's doing it early,
I was working weekdays at the swimming pool at Teamsters Mall. I was a swim instructor. And I wouldn't get out of there till 1 or 2 in the morning because I'd shut the pool down. And then on the weekends, I would work the bars. I'd work till 5 because they close down. The bouncer, we'd stay there till 5 in the morning. They'd close the bars down, sweep them out, and open them up at 7. But from 7 on, we didn't come back till midnight because that's when all the crazy. And at that time, the pipeline was roaring. In the 70s, my goodness, you had people from everywhere. I mean, money was just crazy. And I got into the strippers. I don't know if people want to pay, but I did all the stripper bars, Lonely Lady, all that. I had all my bouncers in there.
Yeah, right. I mean,
but I got good. I got good money. I was an entrepreneur. I didn't sit around. People say you can't do this. I said, watch this.
Yeah, you saw a need and you filled it.
Exactly, and I filled it. And I knew how to manipulate, things into work the way I needed them or I wanted them done. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. They just think it can't happen, but it can happen.
Yeah.
And so from there, I worked the pipeline, worked there. Then I went out on the Bering Straits fishing for like a month with my brother out in the cold. You see that the shore they got?
Yeah.
There was fishermen out.
I
did that for a month.
So just to clarify, this is like that, like you just referenced, like that show, like was the one where the world's most dangerous job, right?
Right, I did.
Yeah.
I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for a month, and I didn't like it. It was just too cold. You know, you'd wake up in the morning, you'd have to go out and break ice on the boat, and
Yeah.
so I didn't like it. So I got out of there, and I went down to my brother. I went down. My sister and my brother, Kimmy and Russell, they were living in Washington at that time, and I said, well, you know, I don't want to. I'm done with Alaska. It was 1980 some, I think 81, and so I took off and went down to. It was a little town called Aberdeen, Washington.
Yeah.
I went down there, and my brother was logging. Oh, and you know, when my mom and dad, they came over to Forks, Washington when I was there, and I was up in Alaska. I came down to visit them, and I took up logging for like 2 months, setting chokers out in the woods. You know, setting a choker is when you drag it. You drag an inch of what do you call it? Not really wire, but you got to go wrap these logs and they pull them up. I did that for a while.
So the choker is the thing that latches onto it and pulls it up.
Yeah, you wrap it around the log and then they pull it up. They pull the logs out of the wood. It's a pretty dangerous job. I did that for a little bit. So then when I went back to Washington, my brother, I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Hey, I'm cutting timber." I said, "Well, what's that?" He goes, "Well, you know, you go out in the woods with a saw and you cut these trees down. And it's pretty good pay. You know, they pay you $300 a day. You work 6 hours." I said, "Really?" So I want to do that. He goes, "Well, you got to learn how." I said, "Well, teach me."
Yeah.
So my first job with him was, you know, I about killed myself a few times, but I got the hang of it. And so after a while, I said, "Well, what is this guy paying? If he's paying us $300, he must be getting at least $500 a head."
Right.
And my brother said, "Yeah, probably." I said, "Well, come on, let's start our own business."
There was again.
I said, "You're a good cutter,
right? The entrepreneurial spirit, right? Right out again, yeah.
Yeah, and he goes, "Well, I don't know about that." I said, "No, let's do it, man. We can do. If he can do it, we can do it. What's he got that we don't?"
Right.
You know, so we had to get the insurance, and all that, all the policies in place, and we started R&R cutting, Rocky and Russell. So yeah, we did timber for a while, and after a while, you know, I had a baby girl, and her and her mom, we didn't live together, so she moved down here to Boise, Idaho, and I'd come down to visit, and I come down, and after a while, I said, "Man, there's a niche down here that I can do." So I moved down here. I told my brother, "You run the company. I'm out of here." And so at that time, we had like 6, 7 cutters, and each guy was getting paid $500 a head, and we're paying them $300. So we're taking $200 each, you know, making $1,000 a day just off these guys. And I told my brother, "This is what you got to do. This is how you do it." So I moved down here. I started working for UPS.
Yeah.
And the big break was one night. I had the manager call me and the girl off the line. We're loading trucks. And I got in there and I said, "What's going on?" And they said, "Well, you two, we need to pick you guys because we need, what do you call it? When you have a woman and not a wife, a black guy, they could fill their quota." And,
yeah.
They had a quota to do with the feds, you know.
Yeah.
What's the name of that word? Anyways, since I was brown, they said, "Well,
equal opportunity or something?"
Something like that. And I sat there and said, "Well, why are you taking me over Randy? Randy's been here 5 years trying to get a drive job. I've been here not even 6 months." You know, because we need to fill this quota. You know, the federal government needs you to have this many people, this many blacks, this many whites, this many girls. I'm like, this is stupid. I said, I quit.
And so you quit.
But before that, before that, I was sitting in the break room and I seen all these like red letter. When they write in red, that means they're late. So when the UPS does their thing, they run out and they do their routes. And if they're late, they'll get callbacks. And so it's these people that are late. A lot of them they get their money back, or I don't know. It's just that the driver. I don't know how it works. So I asked Randy. I said, "What is that, Randy?" And he goes, "Well, those are all the late runs, you know, and these late runs are getting to us. We can't be late, especially at the pharmaceutical side of it, because when people are waiting for their meds."
Right.
I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, what do you do to get to the pharmaceutical side?" And he goes, "Oh, it's easy. He goes, here's what you do. He goes, you got to go to the pharmacist and find out where they're getting their stuff.
Uh-huh.
I said, really? He goes, yep. So I said, all right. So I went to Albertsons, and I knew this pharmacist there, and I walked in, and I said, hey, how do I get to deliver your meds? He goes, why? I said, I see that every day they're late. And he goes, yeah, them knuckleheads are always late. I got patients waiting. He says, man, I'm getting so tired of them.
So he was just waiting for
I
someone.
said, well,
new.
what if I can do it? Yeah, I said, well, what if I can do it? He goes, well, then, man, I would, if you could do it, get it before 2 o'clock, I would tell McKesson to take you.
Yeah.
I said, well, where do I go? He goes, well, McKesson, they're in Utah. Big. McKesson's a huge pharmaceutical company. I don't know if you know McKesson, but they're huge. They're like, so I went down, I said, okay, so I called McKesson. I said, hey, you guys, can I get into the distribution side of this? They said, you know what, as a matter of fact, we're having a meeting in 2 weeks. And if you want to come down and give us your spiel, your sales pitch, whatever,
Yeah.
you're welcome to come down. So I arrived down there. Now get this, it's summer, right? I'm in a T-shirt and shorts. Okay, my T-shirt's got Micronesia on it, Blimpie, that, Truck Lagoon, that's what that on it.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, you guys are having this distribution meeting. I need to join. They said, well, it's in that room down there. Just go down there. And so I go down there and I open the door. There's UPS. This guy's dressed in a tie. He's got a computer in front of him, cell phone. All right, FedEx next to him, Pony Express, DHL. I mean, every top distribution company, they're sitting there in their 3-piece suits, whatever. Look at the computers. I walk in, they look at me, they're all staring at me, and I'm like, oh man.
So you got the Truck Lagoon T-shirt, right? You got the Truck Lagoon T-shirt.
Yeah.
Shorts.
And my shorts. That's it. And my sandals. Hey, bro.
Ready for business.
Yeah. So I sit down and I'm sitting there, and the man at Brett Harrop, we're good friends now.
Yeah.
He comes walking in. He goes, hello, everybody. No. He looks at me. He goes, are you in the right room? And this is the bids for the distribution up in Idaho, right? He goes, yeah. He goes, are you here? I said, yeah, I'm here to bid. So then, I'm the last guy in the line. So I listen to all of these guys, UPS, FedEx, everything, But in my mind, I'm like, I know these guys are all full of it because they're always late.
Yeah.
I've read the charts. I've read the charts on the UPS side, and they're the ones that have the contract. They're always late.
Right.
So bam. And I even asked the DHL guys, hey, can I borrow your pen? Because I had to write down. And he looked at me like I had the virus, I said, let's a piece of pen, And so I could write on these. So they come to me, and Brett looked at me, he goes, and you. He said, and who do you represent? And I didn't even have a name. I didn't know nothing. I looked at him, I said, and I play softball, and I said, fast pitch courier. He looked at me and said, fast pitch. I said, yeah, fast pitch courier.
You pulled it right out of your pocket.
And he goes, okay. Oh, yeah. And he goes, all right. He says, tell me, what do you have that, would interest us to, go to you? I said, you know what? I have more than all these guys here been talking. I said, these guys have been talking and talking. I said, and you've had these guys, all of them. You got Pony Express, I know, and you got the UPS, and they're always late. You know why? I said, because they don't just take your product. They take your product, they make a long line, a loop, and then they hit everybody along the way. And if this guy has 20 boxes, it takes them another 20 minutes. So by the time they get to your pharmacy, they're late. I said, me?
I'm here for you.
I would only do yours, just yours.
Yeah.
And if you say jump, I will jump and jump. And if you say run, I will run. And he laughed, and I said, no, I'm telling the truth. I said, really, look at me and tell me, these guys doing the job for you? You wouldn't be having this distribution meeting if they weren't doing the job, right?
Right.
And, all these guys are standing up like, who's this crack, man? Where did he come from?
The guy didn't say, give me back my pen?
No, he just stared at me.
Saying, after you said that, you sure the guy didn't say, like, give me back my pen?
He probably stared at me like that, but I was all done when everybody left, and everybody's shaking hands and
Right.
they're giving out cards, and I don't have a card. I'm like, oh, I'll see you guys later, man. I jumped in my truck and I drove back all the way to Idaho, a 5-hour drive, and I'm like, that was really great. And I just blew myself a hole in the head, and I sat here, and 2 weeks later, I get a phone call. We need to meet with you. There's 3 of you that we've chosen. I'm like, what?
Oh, you made the first
So
cut, right?
I went back down. Oh, yeah, so it was me. Actually, there's 4. It was me, Pony Express, UPS, and DHL.
Mm-hmm.
So went down, and this time I slept pretty good. I had some pants on. And I sat there.
I love how that's
I
an
sat there
upgrade.
and
Oh
yeah.
I love.
Then they got to me and I know. Actually, instead of flip-flops, I actually had some nice tennis shoes on, some Nikes or something.
No, but I love how the upgrade is. So I had some pants on.
Yeah. Yeah, I had some pants and actually a button-up shirt, So then they did this deal again, and they got back to me, and I said, look, I've already told you, I'm not going to deviate from what I told you, Brett.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm here for you. I am your pony. If you with me, I'll run faster,
Right.
That was my exact words. I didn't butter it up like, oh, I have 50 trucks, we have this electronic, I just said, this is what I have. So I left, and I said, man, because I was up against these guys that had electronic things. We monitored this, our drivers are, time for this, that. I said, yeah, but all that stuff didn't help, Brett. I said, look at me. None of that helped. Did it help? You're still running late.
Right. The big corporate machine, and they were still running slow,
and you're
right?
paying,
right.
And you're paying
for the overhead
for all this. When they upgrade, what do? Once they upgrade, what do? They charge you. So if it's like $10 delivery and they get new computers, now it's $12 delivery. So, and I had that on my head.
Mm-hmm.
So then I left and I came back, and 2 weeks later they called me. They said, well, you got your contract. I said, what? Yeah, we need to see you. Can you come down? Oh, yeah, I'll come down. This time I flew down. Check this out.
Yeah.
I had to be big wig now, It was $97 one way. I can afford that. So I flew down. I went to them. They shook my hands. All right. Your first contract is going to be for $120,000. To start off. We'll start you on this area here, and you can move to this area. I said, all right. So they So I started. I said, they said, okay, well, Mr. Holden, they said, where's your vehicles located? Where's your
fleet,
your vans and your fleet? Yeah. Where are they located? And I'm like, fleet. I said, what fleet? Fleet. Your distribution fleet. Your trucks, your semis. And I'm like, man, I don't have a fleet. Said, what do you have? I said, I have a Corvette and a pickup. He looked at me. He goes, are you serious? I am dead serious, Brett. He goes, well, we're going to be starting this in like a month. We're going to switch over. He says, you don't have none. I said, I have nothing. I said, I have a truck and a Corvette.
The Corvette.
And he looked at me and goes, oh, my.
What you should have told him was, dude, it's a nice Corvette.
Well, it is, but I didn't tell him that. And so he kind of walked around and looked at me, and he says, I said, but you know what? If you give me that contract, I can go to these places and get the vehicles I need if they see that contract. And he looked at me and he goes, well, he says, I'm going to take a chance on it. So he gave me the contract, and I came up here, and I went to every freaking car lot, everybody. I even went to the bank to borrow money. I have a contract. I have a $120,000 contract. Mm-hmm. I need this to get this. Well, how long have you been in business? I said, I've never done this type of business. No, we can't help you. I went to small business. No, we can't help you. I went to everybody. I went to all the trucking companies. Finally, this guy knew that, because when I was, when I got down here, I started a bouncing company. Same thing I did in Alaska.
Right.
And this time I did it right. I had like 60 bouncers.
Yeah.
We had all the bars.
Why reinvent?
We had all the concrete.
You already had a working formula.
I had
just replicate it.
Exactly. And when I came down here, we did Rod Stewart. I went to, because, so I went to do Rod Stewart and when the show was over, I was doing the back, what they call the VIP room. And
Right.
this guy and his wife started coming in, and I said, "Hey, where's your pass?" And they said, "Oh, we don't need a pass." I said, "Yes, you do." "Oh, no, we don't. We're the ones that we're the producers." I said, "I don't care. If you don't have a pass, you could be God. You ain't coming in." So I called my two buddies and we threw them out. They threw them out of their own concert. There's 10,000 people there, and we threw out the producers. Oh, the guy was so mad.
Money
He
well
was so
spent.
mad. He told me, "Oh," he said, "I'll never hire you ever. You're fired." They laid into me, but in 2 weeks he called me back and said, "Hey, we were so impressed that we're telling you all this and you tours, and we want you to come over here and start." We got, because they had what they call, it was a big concert house.
Uh-huh.
So I went there and I started there, and they said, "Well, how are you going to insure these guys? We need insurance on these guys to work for us."
Mm-hmm.
I said, easy. I went down to the 4 hires, the temporary hires.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Okay, what do you charge per guy?" And they said, "We'll charge you $2 an hour on these guys." Okay. I said, so I figured it out, and I charged the proprietor or
Right.
the guys that ran the house. I charged them, okay, if it's going to be $2 an hour, I'm going to charge these guys $12 an hour.
Right.
I'll pay these guys $8 an hour.
Mhm.
I can get $2 an hour off each guy. So
And-
if I have 60 guys working
And cover your
10
overhead,
hours,
right?
so I was making. No, I didn't have any overhead.
Right.
All I had was money in the pocket.
Well, insurance.
So yeah, so I got that going.
Mhm.
We
No.
did all the concerts. I got pictures with Rod Stewart, Clint Black, all that.
Oh, man.
I did all the security cameras. Oh yeah. And then when I met my wife, I had her doing security. So you need emails.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But while I was doing that, I was doing my courier company. So to get back to that, I finally met this guy that I used to do the boxing matches, and he'd come in, and I knew him, and I started talking to him. Well, he had a car lot, Golden Rule.
The security
Yeah.
was starting to into pretty much anything that needed security. You were the guy. You were growing.
Yeah, we did. Well, I had 60 bouncers.
Yeah. Wow.
When Matt Damon came up, he and my wife went out. I did dinner with him, and because I did personal security for him.
Man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Matt Damon, you name it, all the country stars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You name it, I did it. But so I went to this guy and I said, "Look, I have this contract. I need some pickups." So he gave me what did he give me? He gave me 1, 2, 3, 4. He gave me 6 trucks.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me 6 trucks to start off my company. So that's what I did. I took 6 trucks, and I started my company. And I went to Brent and I said, "Hey, if you can help me out," he goes, "Well, we'll get your product to this point. That's about 100 miles away from you. You can come and pick them up."
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and I started out with first me, and just that first time I started was just me and 3 other guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then slowly I grew, and I took over all of Idaho, took over all of Montana, took over half of Utah.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I was done, I had 50 trucks running, 4 semis, big box vans, like, I don't know, 6, 7 box vans, and the rest was my fleet. I had 50 drivers all the way up into Montana, the high, all the way into, and then to make a story even better, I met these just Chuukese guy. And he ran the port up here.
Mm-hmm.
He ran the port of. He was with. He was with. What the heck's the name of that shipping company that grows the Boonby? Big shipping company.
Matson. Yeah.
He ran Matson. In fact, he still runs Matson. He's in Hawaii. Good friend Lenny.
Mm-hmm.
Len. Len. He's a Chuukese guy. Anyways, so I met him, and then he said, "Hey, you do haul?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, bring 2 trucks up here. You start hauling our stuff." So that's how I got into Matson. We were hauling their stuff at the same time, and it just grew. I grew from pharmaceuticals. So I went up all the way up to. I did mostly just pharmaceuticals. I didn't want to deviate from another company. I did
Right.
piggyback some mail.
You stuck with what worked until it was solid, and then you branched, right?
Yeah, I branched into animal stuff, animal veterinary stuff, and then I branched into Idaho Power, all their mail, like 300 stops a day. If you're doing 300 stops a day and you're piggybacking off your trucks because you're already going there, and then that's just money in your pocket.
Right.
You know, and I had all these drivers that drove for me, and they love their job. You know, instead of them working for me, I 1099 them. I said, okay, you're private. This is what it's going to cost to do this route. I went and did the route, figured out how much fuel it's going to cost, how much the lease on a truck was going to cost, and if they didn't have a truck, Holden Enterprises leased them a truck. So I'd buy the truck and we'd lease them the truck. So they had a truck. So that's the way I worked it. So if you came to me and you said, hey, I don't have no vehicle, but I'd like to, and I interviewed you and I like you, and I said, well, guess what? So I figured out what the amount of the lease was, the fuel would cost, the time you'd do it, and I'd say, okay, this is what it costs to do this route. This is what I'm going to pay you. So he's there making good money. I mean, and I said, you know, when I started out, I said it takes 6 hours to do this route. Oh yeah, but then these guys figured out if they took 8 hours, they got extra money. So that's why I went to private. I said, okay, well, guess what? I'm going to pay you a flat rate. I don't care what you do, if it takes you 20 hours or 4 hours. That's what I'm paying.
Yeah.
Well, it went from 8 hours. They went from 8 hours back down to 6 because they wanted to get done and go do their thing, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I did that for about 20 years.
Wow.
And then one day I went to a Micronesian softball tournament. I put together these tournaments here in Idaho where all the Micronesians, we have 10, 15 teams come together, the Saipanese, the Pohnpeians, the Leppies.
Have a good old time.
From Utah. Oh yeah, and I go to the hotel, like one hotel, I rented the whole hotel out. Swimming pool and everything was for all Micronesians. There was like 40 rooms in that branch. We had concert, we had pig, we had a softball tournament. You know, it was great gathering. And then one day, me and my wife went down to Reno, and we had a tournament down there, and we won the tournament. And then I proposed to my wife at the tournament.
Oh.
And we got married. It was 787. That was the year. But when we were down there, we went to the sushi bar. It was all you can eat sushi bar, right? And I said, wow, this is pretty good. I said, look, I've always wanted to start a restaurant. I said, come on, let's go back up and start a restaurant. So I came back here and I started a sushi bar. And I built it on my own with my own hands, and I got the guys down there, the Bonifans. I said, you guys want to, you know, you guys, there's 20 of you living in a house. Yeah, I have 2 cars. I said, come up here, I'll help you get in and live the American style.
Yeah.
So, sure enough, I got them up here. I got them a house because, you know, they all came up. So first I got them a house and I got them a vehicle so they can get to and from work. I started one restaurant.
Yeah, so,
and I started that
so you basically told them, come up here, give me the hard work, and I'll give you what the hard work earns.
Yeah, I showed them how to...
The American dream, right?
And each one that bought a house, exactly. Yeah. So I helped them all out. They got up here, they started working, you know, I started opening other restaurants, and then they, you know, one of my guys came to me and said, hey, I want to buy a house. I said, okay, what do you need? He goes, I need the front money. I'll pay you back. So I gave it to him. He bought a house. Another guy come, bought a house. Another guy come, bought a house. My son bought a house. They all started living the American dream. Now they're driving pickups better than mine.
And this,
they've got, you know, forward.
And this is what we were talking about.
Isn't that crazy?
This is what we're talking about on that Facebook chat, right? And this all started from a teenage guy saying, you know what? I saw that thing in the bathroom and I can fix it. You know?
Oh, easy. You know, I seen the guy kicking the toilet in.
Yeah.
And I went in
and a world later.
I don't know where to put this on. Yeah, I went over there and I knocked him out. And I said, well, that's it. I can be a bouncer.
Right.
Well, actually, you know how it started was on the islands. I used to gather seashells. And then Mom used to make these little cloth bags, and I put like 5 or 6 in them. And I'd go down to the airport, and I sell the seashells to tourists. They come off, and I say, seashell for sale, you know? And it's a surprise bag, $5. And say, give me $5. I saved up like $300.
It's
like
like
people, and my buddies would like, hey, nah. It's
like,
yeah, I used to have a bike. I used to ride down the causeway all the way down when I knew the airplane was at 1 o'clock.
So they're saying, you're not embarrassed? You're like, no, I'm not embarrassed, but I'm not broke either.
No. Then I had a nice bike, you know. And I put away a little bit of money, and I was like, wow, this is great. You know, it was all just talking to tourists. They'd come off, and a lot of people, you guys have been to Pohnpei,
Right,
they would say, hey, you know, they did, you know. And I just go up, hi, how you doing? Because, I knew English pretty well because my dad was fluent in English,
And
so we spoke English.
For those wondering, Namanik in Pohnpeian means ashamed.
Shame, or he's shy.
Or,
Ashamed.
But so...
Yeah, so
this crazy... I mean, it's like a roller coaster of a ride you've just taken us through, it's just like we were on that Facebook Messenger thing, and we were chatting back and forth, and dude, half the stuff you would say, my jaw would just drop. Like, there you go, you got this teenager, he's going to school during the day, and then he's busting his chops all night long, and then he's up in the morning and he's right at it again.
Oh yeah, I don't know where I got that from, because my mom was that way. She was when we were growing up. Everybody used to make fun of her because she'd work all night in the bars, and Yamada's bar or whatever, those bars out there. But at least she kept food on the table.
Right.
She always had good food. And,
right.
She always had us dressed right. Wore nice clothes. And people would say, "Well, your mom's wanted because she works in the bars at night." I said, "I don't care. I got a quarter in my pocket. What do you got?"
Oh man, I am so sorry you were subject to stuff like this. That's kind of bullshit.
I know, but what can you say? You just rolled with it.
Right.
You couldn't. What are you gonna say? That was back then. If you wore lipstick and you wore a dress, and a belt, and you went out, you got hit, you got labeled.
Yeah, God forbid somebody saw you, right?
Oh, I know, isn't that crazy? So we've been with these restaurants now, and we have families that moved families in here, and there's been a family that moved here, and they started their own restaurant, and another guy just went off on his own. People say, "Aren't you mad?" I said, "Yeah, I'm mad, but what are you going to do?" That you just got to figure out I mean, it's sad when you teach these guys, give them something, and then they get up and because Pohnpeians are really clannish. They have their own family, and if the family follows them around,
right?
They won't stay. I'm going to stay with Rocky. I don't care if we're family. A few of them do, but a lot of them, if they're family, they're the man and their families. They let's do this. Well, if he's got nephews or cousins, they all just walk away.
Right.
And they don't know about giving you 2 weeks notice or nothing. They just get up and leave.
Oh, really? That's...
they're not. It's crazy. Yeah, one just left me on Thanksgiving.
What happened to the loyalty?
They don't. They're honest. I just don't see it except if it's your family. I see it in my family, my immediate family, but I don't see it in my workers. They don't. There's a little bit of loyalty there, and Pohnpei. I hate to bring this up on this, but I think the Pohnpei mentality is if you have something that they don't have, they get jealous. It's just the way it is. Back home, I tried to start a restaurant back home. I went and I put money down. I did everything. I got the plans, everything. And me and Dave and Frank went to the bank. I had money. They said, "Okay, we need seed money." I put $10,000 in the bank. I said, "Here you go. You need $100,000. You need 10% down." I did everything, and they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and they never put it on the word. And I think it was David or Frank told me, "Hey, if these guys, if they don't have it, they get jealous. You shouldn't have come to some bank. You should have went to another bank."
Yeah, so they intentionally torpedoed it, right?
Yep, never even looked at it. And I had everything. I had a company in Hawaii that was going to build these prefab homes. I was going to have a Mexican-style restaurant with barbecue right down there by the Capitol, because I have property down there above the Capitol. I was going to give special privilege for the workers down there. Lunch hour breaks, special fees. At night, give you some happy hour. And I tried Mexican food. And out of 100 people I surveyed, because they want a survey, one person said she didn't like it, but she didn't even know what it is. All the other ones I surveyed, they said, "Oh yeah, chips and chips and stuff like that." Because we didn't have one at the time, and I was going to put it right down at the Capitol. I already had the plans, and with that, I was going to put 6 homes so that the people can rent those homes, or even buy them.
Not to mention, like you said, the food is a massive convenience, because with the price of gas and that, even though it's by American standards, it's a short trek back up to Colonia. I mean, just being able to walk over there and gas at $4.50, that's a huge service.
Oh man, I was gonna. I mean, and here I had that. I went and down, and this when President Bailey was still alive. That's my uncle.
Oh, my dear
Okay,
cousin Bailey.
so I went down and
He's my cousin.
yeah, I tried and tried and tried to get it, and nobody listened to me. So I went over. They wouldn't give me a business, a business, whatever you need to do business out there.
Right.
So I got so mad, I went right into the president's office. I remember, I think it was Marla was working, or one of them Pangolinan girls.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
said, hey, you can't go in there. I said, oh, yeah, I am. And I just walked right in. And Bella said, hey, oh, yeah, man. I said, man, I'm here, Billy. You got to help me. I've been here for 3 weeks, and I can't get my business.
Just fed up with the stone wall, right?
Oh, yeah. Nobody do nothing. I'd go into the place, and they'd be, oh, where's he? Oh, he was at a funeral, and he won't be in. Oh, he went to lunch, and he won't be back. Oh, I just got to be where I got so mad.
That's just
I finally went to Belly, and it's just lackadaisical. Like, they really, So Belly got up, walked right over there, went right in there, and said, okay, we need the stamp today, now.
It's like,
so they stamped all my paperwork.
I remember us talking about the brewery, right? And to be honest, when we were doing that exchange on Facebook, like, I was just floored. Like, such a weak excuse, right? All we want is import tax. And it's like, and I was thinking to myself, Rocky's about to employ people. And you know what? Let's say the master brewery you bring in does you a solid and becomes world famous. Dude, now you got export. I mean, the possibilities were endless, but no, import tax.
Oh, no, and here's the thing. I don't want to bring up any names because, them people are in higher places now.
Yeah.
But and you know who I hung around with? I hung around with the kids up. Well, anyways, make a long story short, he came here, he stayed with me. We went to 4 different breweries, okay? We went to the Ram. We went to Deschutes. We went to these major breweries around here. Tasted their beer. We said, wow, I got a master brewer. I said, I'll come out there for 6 months. If you guys give me a place to live, pay me just enough to live on and enjoy the island.
Yeah, he just wanted the experience, right?
Yeah, just an experience to get away. And I said, yeah. So me and this guy, we talked to the brewmaster. Okay, we got it all set up. He went back home. This is what we're gonna do. He says, okay, you got to do it yourself because I can't be, I don't want to be seen as a partner. I can to this day I don't understand, but maybe I understand now.
Yeah.
So we got out there, we got everything ready to go. And I found some brews here some pots that I could send out, the big ones,
Yeah.
Exactly. And what I wanted to do was start a brewery, start our own professional. I know Budweiser was a thing and Coors Light, so I wanted to do something weak like that, and then have our own blend like mango or banana or red fruits or whatever. And then what I would do is I'd go to all these bars and say, look, instead of buying canned beer that's already taxed, and then you're going to tax again on top, why don't you buy my stuff? I'll set you up with everything you need, with a refrigerator. Because what I was going to do was
put it on tap.
Guys do in their garage. Yeah, and then and if you didn't have the tap stuff, you could do it like these guys are doing it at their home. Buy yourself a little fridge, drill a hole in it, run your tap out of it, and sell that.
Right. I had one of those in my garage in Georgia.
And I had a couple big restaurants there that said, hey, bring it. Bob Arthur, I don't know if you know him, he ran the Village.
The Village, yeah.
I talked to him about that. He says, yeah, bring that up. He said, I'll serve your beer. I said, and you not only serve my beer, you'll cut your taxes in half, and you won't have to pay all that import tax that you're paying for that beer that's coming in. You can buy my beer. We'll develop it here on the island, and as far as I know, grains, barley, and stuff, that's considered food, so you won't have to pay the heavy alcohol tax on it.
Right.
And we'll make it right here. Oh, I had it all ready. The government said, oh, you cannot do it. I said, what?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, you're not allowed to make your own brew here on the islands. I'm like, are you serious?
Insane, right?
I said, it will employ a lot of people. Yeah, I said, this will employ, look, you'll have delivery drivers, you'll have people that learn how to wash these kegs out, you'll have, the bars will be buying it, and they just said no. They wouldn't tell me an answer. They just said, nope, we can't do it because we don't allow you to make your own alcohol on this island. I'm like, I drank yeast when I was a kid. What are you talking about?
Good old yeast. Mokali's pride and joy.
Oh, my God. Man, I remember stories about that. On that, all of Moku. Oh, look at what you got.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something. I mean, through this this crazy roller coaster ride. What I noticed was a continued commitment to any possibility. Like you said, you drove down to Utah in shorts and a Truck Lagoon t-shirt.
Well,
But so that was the consistency, right? Were there any moments where you were worried, right? Were there ever any moments where you just sat there and like, oh man,
yes,
I'm screwed?
There was. Well, when I first started that delivery company, I was driving from Twin Falls, which is 120 miles away, and I'd go down at 1 a.m., meet their semi, pick up the load, and it was just me and two other guys. So I'd pick up the load. I'd drive all the way back up here by 7 o'clock. They'd meet me at my little warehouse, which we didn't have one. We went to a rental where you rent these little things, and we drop the stuff, we divide it up. You go left, you go right, you do all these stores here, and I'll do this. So I'd do that, and I'd work from 1 in the morning till 7 or 8 at night, and then I'd sleep for a little bit and do it again.
Wow.
Well, one night in the middle of winter, I got this truck that I'm driving, and I'm coming up this hill, and all of a sudden I heard this plack, 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 and I threw a rod through the side of my engine.
Oh,
and I was already squeezing by and on just barely making it,
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, and it died, and I sat there on the highway, and I prayed. I said, what am I going to do now? And I was in tears. I didn't cry, but, I got to the point where I was just shaking. And, I might have cried, but I was talking to my God. I'm like,
understandably,
what am I going to do? I don't have the money, and if I lose this contract, they're going to pull it. They're going to say, you're too small, you can't do it. Because they were testing me. I was at that testing. And I sat there, and so I called the tow truck. It was $200 to tow my truck in, take that. And, I just started, so I had really no money. I had no floating money. So this is a miracle. So I'm sitting there, and I get a phone call from my buddy, Chuck. Chuck went to Plumpay with me.
Right.
Anyways, make a long story short, he calls me, and he goes, hey, I'm in town. I just flew in. He goes, what are you doing? He says, I said, what are you doing down here? He goes, come pick me up. I thought I'd come down and spend some time with you. Because we went to, I went to college too. I went to Bates College up in Washington. I was a vice president of student body. That's another story. Yeah. Anyways, that's how me and Chuck met, was through the political side. And I said, what are you doing here, Chuck? He goes, I'm just coming on to visit. I said, well, how the heck you come down to visit? You're a vet, you have no money. He goes, I'm just here to visit. So I went and picked him up. We spent the weekend, drank, and I told him, I said, you know what? I've tried this, Chuck, and I don't know what to do. I can't.
Tough spot, right?
With this. I think I might just. Yeah, I said. And then he goes, oh yeah. He goes, what's wrong? I said, well, I just called in. It's $6,000 to repair that dumb truck, and I've got to lease the truck for, to at least finish out this week. He goes, well, all right. Well, we drank that, and he left an envelope, $10,000 cash.
Oh.
That was on it, and it said, follow your dreams, Rocky. And I get teary-eyed just thinking about that right now, because I remember that.
I'm about to get teary-eyed. It's
my
not
girlfriend
me.
at that time, I know, my girlfriend at that time, she was here, Chuck left you something. I looked at it, I said, what is it? She goes, I don't know, but it says follow your dreams. Open up, there's $10,000 cash. And I said, what the heck? And inside was a note, fix your truck, keep doing what you're doing, don't quit. So later, I called him, I said, where'd you get this money? He goes, I was sprayed with Agent Orange during Vietnam. And so they settled. They gave me $85,000. And you and me were good buddies in college. You helped me out a lot, And I thought, if there's anything I can do, I could help. So I went out and I got the truck fixed and rented a truck for 2 weeks while they were fixing my truck. And took off from there and never looked back.
And that's like a perfect segue into my next question. My next question is, through this, we've already said this a bunch of times. It was a roller coaster, right? And like you said, there were down times. There were times where, you were doing like the mad scientist, driving down there to Utah and stuff. But through all that, there have to be names, right? That like you said, your buddy Chuck, and are there other names that you think back on and you're like, without these people, I mean, I'm giving you an opportunity, like right here, right now, to say to these people, hey, look, you were there. So
yeah, I mean, Charles Wharton was Chuck. That's his name, Charles Wharton.
Charles
And
Wharton.
he was a Vietnam vet. He was when I went to college. Okay, when I was logging, logging got shut down because of the spotted owl.
Wait,
I don't know if you remember.
Wait,
a while back.
were you
So,
logging
yeah.
and going to college at the same time?
No. I was logging. That's when I came down from Alaska. I started
Right.
logging,
Uh-huh.
and they shut our logging down because of the spotted owl.
Mhm.
And then when they shut it down, they gave you an opportunity to go to college. They'll pay for it, the state.
Oh,
Okay.
oh.
So I went to college. I said, okay, well, I'm going to jump in this. I'm going to go become the head of tourism on the islands.
Mhm.
So I went and took travel and tourism at Bates. And when I was there, they, of course, they had to pick their officers. And somebody said, why don't you be an officer? I said, sure, why not? So I did the same thing. I went up and all these guys, oh, well, I studied at the university. I was this, I did this, I did this. I walked up in my T-shirt. I said, hey, what do you guys want? I said, look, I'm here for you. These people here, they've been to all these colleges and all this stuff, and I'm here. I was in my jeans and my shirt. And I said, okay, this is what I'll do. Whatever you say, I'll do for you. I'll da-da-da. I got 80% of the student body vote. 80%, the highest ever. Chuck says, how do you do it?
But that speaks a lot about your method, right? Because I think, I don't know when it started, but it all became a dress-up game, right? Like, the UPS, the Pony Express guys. And then when you show up, I think people are really refreshed with, oh, finally, the no bullshit,
Well, it was a dress-up game. These people that I ran against were all, they had suit and ties, and they had computers, and they had been to summer political classes somewhere and all that.
The
and,
tailored
I just said, hey,
responses,
I'm a
right?
graduate. Yeah. So we went. So I got nominated. So they sent us down to the Ways and Means meetings down in Olympia, the capital.
Uh-huh.
And I told them my story. I got up and because each student, each college, you had to go down and beg for money for your college. That's what it was. I call it begging. You said, well, this is why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
My college needs this. Da da da. You had the University of Washington, all the big wigwigs came to me, and I had my jeans on and my boots, and I said, hey, I don't want to go to college for life. I want to get an education and get out and go back into the workforce. All these people here, they've got 4 or 5 years of college underneath them. I just started. This is why we should, these small colleges, like these trade colleges, we should really pursue, because a lot of us, we don't want to go to school. We want to go back to work.
Right.
That's why we are. That's why I'm here, is to promote little colleges, the community colleges, the 2-year trade colleges. Because I'm there for travel and tourism. Chuck's there for, he's in engineering, and he's a 2-year engineering class. I said, you guys can't afford to put me through 4 years of college. I can't afford that, because I got kids to feed. I want to be with my family. And then after that meeting, I got invited to all these ROTC, all these little groups meetings, come and tell your story. And it's really funny, because I go tell them stories about my islands growing up. I said, hey, I remember going to school sitting on the sand with chalkboard saying, good morning, teacher. And they said, they didn't believe it. They said, what? I said, this is my atoll I'm from, and this is what we eat every day. And if you have condensed milk and rice, that was good cereal in the morning.
Condensed milk and rice. Now there's a Mokalese dish right there. Now, so looking back, it has to. I mean, I can only imagine. Like I said, just sitting here for these last few minutes talking to you, it's a roller coaster ride. It has to be an immensely gratifying feeling to have, gone through it, look back and go, yeah, it got bad sometimes, but I did it.
Gotcha. Hang on.
Yeah.
Can you go around back? She's back on the porch. That's my niece. She's trying to sneak up and leave flowers on my door. For my wife. Yeah, I'm telling you, everything I did was great. But right now, with some names on it, the David Panuelo and Frank Panuelo and that family, I was really tight with them. And I'd go stay with them. I was like their son. They took me and my brother in.
Awesome.
Their kids would come stay at our house. Oh yeah, David was my little bird chaser, chicken chaser. I'd take him out. Hey, okay, you guys choose that chicken. Him and my brother Russell. We grew up real tight. Frank, me and him hung out a lot.
Yeah.
Those are some names, that I'm really grateful for, and just my family and other people that's helped me out, like Tom Brown. And when I went up on Alaska Pipeline, he's the one that got me up in the pipeline. If it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have went up. Joe owned all the clubs I worked at. There's a lot of people I can thank, but the one I got to thank the most is probably my wife.
Of
she's,
course. Of course.
Always been my stone behind me.
For Mike and myself, please let me say thanks for joining us on A Micronesian Life. If you have a story you think is worth telling, let us know. Drop us a note at amicronesianlife@gmail.com. Leave us a brief description of the story and we'll get back to you. Until then, get out there, make a difference, thrive.